The first sign is that your old life starts feeling false. Beloved ones, the first sign that you are about to enter the best stage of your life is very strange, and because it is strange, people often misunderstand it. Your old life begins to feel false. Nothing dramatic may have changed on the outside. You may still have the same job, the same relationships, the same routine. Yet something deep inside starts whispering that this is no longer enough. I want you to understand this clearly. This feeling is not depression. It is not failure. It is not negativity. It is intelligence awakening within you. I have watched this happen in my own life. There was a time when everything was comfortable, when I could have continued living like everyone else. I was respected, educated, appreciated, but slowly a subtle dissatisfaction arose, not with life, but with the way life was being lived. The answers given by society no longer satisfied me. The ambitions offered by the world felt shallow. When your old life feels false, it simply means you have outgrown it. A child outgrows his toys, not because the toys are wrong, but because the child is growing. In the same way, consciousness outgrows old patterns. You may start feeling tired of pretending, tired of smiling when you do not feel like smiling, tired of running without knowing where you are going. This tiredness is sacred. It means your soul is asking for something real. People are afraid of this stage. They try to suppress it. They distract themselves, they jump into new relationships, new goals, new addictions, just to avoid listening to this inner voice. But if you are courageous, if you sit silently with this feeling, it will become your greatest guide. Remember, only a false life feels comfortable. A true life begins with discomfort. Truth shakes you. It unsettles you. It pulls the ground from under your feet. Do not rush to fix this feeling. Do not immediately try to replace your old life with a new one. First, watch, observe, allow the falseness to be seen clearly. Awareness itself will start dissolving what is no longer needed. This is the moment when many people turn back. They say this path is too uncertain, but those who continue, those who trust this inner disturbance, enter a life of depth, silence and joy. If your old life feels false, rejoice. It means you are no longer asleep. Something greater is calling you, and the call always comes first as discomfort, never as convenience. The best stage of your life does not begin with answers. It begins with a deep, honest question, and this question arises only when the old life can no longer deceive you. The second sign is that you start enjoying aloneness. Wenness koviat is fabiat in that Asian. You are tonbap Asian. It discoviat Asian 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 dis. Beloved ones, the second sign that you are approaching the best stage of your life is very subtle but very powerful. You start enjoying aloneness, not loneliness, but aloneness. There is a vast difference between the two. Loneliness is when you want the other and the other is not there. Aloneness is when you are enough and the other becomes a celebration, not a need. In the beginning, man is afraid of being alone. He runs from himself. He escapes into relationships, into crowds, into constant activity, because to sit silently with oneself is to face all the emptiness, all the confusion, all the unanswered questions. I have lived alone for many years. People thought I was against love. They were wrong. I was preparing myself for love. I wanted to meet myself first, because only then can you meet another without losing yourself. When aloneness starts becoming sweet, you are maturing. Silence no longer feels like a punishment. It feels like a homecoming. You can sit without doing anything, without checking anything, without needing anything, and still feel fulfilled. This is a rare moment in a person's life. Most people die without ever tasting this quality of being with themselves peacefully. They are always in a hurry, always escaping, always distracted. But when the best stage of your life begins, something changes. You start choosing silence over noise, depth over drama, presence over performance. You may still love people. You may still enjoy company. But now your happiness does not depend on them. If they are there, it is beautiful. If they are not there, it is still beautiful. I want you to understand this. Aloneness is not coldness. It is not isolation. It is not withdrawal from life. It is a deep intimacy with existence. In aloneness, you start hearing your own heartbeat. The moment fars and watse lit. The member the skies appear, apitel low. The moment appears, the men bis clearly. The member the skies appears, the men bis clearly. The member the skies appears, the men bis clearly. The member the skies appears, the men bis clearly. The member the skies appears, the men bis clearly. The member the skies appears, the men bis clearly. The member the skies appears, the men bis clearly. The member the skies appears, the men bis clearly. The member the skies appears, the men bis clearly. The member the skies appears, the men bis clearly. The member the skies appears, the men bis clearly. The member the skies appears, the men bis clearly. The member the skies appears, the men bis clearly. The member the skies appears, the men bis clearly. The member the skies appears, the men bis clearly. The member the skies appears, the men bis clearly. Your own truth, your own rhythm. You are no longer living according to the expectations of others. You are no longer shaping yourself to be liked. This is the beginning of freedom. A man who cannot be alone will never be truly with anyone. He will only use others to fill his inner emptiness. But a man who enjoys aloneness brings richness into relationships. He does not beg for love. He shares love. When you begin to enjoy aloneness, it means you are no longer afraid of yourself. You are becoming your own companion. And this is one of the greatest transformations possible. The best stage of your life cannot come to a person who is constantly running away from himself. It comes only to those who dare to sit, to feel, to be. So if you find yourself loving silence, loving your own presence, loving your own space, do not think something is wrong with you. Something very right is happening. You are coming home. The third sign is that people start misunderstanding you, beloved ones. The third sign that you are entering the best stage of your life is not pleasant for the ego, but it is very meaningful. People start misunderstanding you. Those who once felt comfortable with you suddenly feel distant. Those who once agreed with you begin to question you. This happens because you are no longer moving according to borrowed ideas. Understand this clearly. Society lives on repetition. It wants you to fit into patterns, roles, expectations. When you follow the crowd, you are understood. The moment you start listening to your own inner voice, confusion arises around you. I have experienced this throughout my life. When I stopped following traditions, when I refused to accept ready-made truths, people became afraid. They labeled me, judged me, misunderstood me. But misunderstanding is not rejection. It is a sign that you are no longer predictable. People want you to remain the same because your sameness makes them feel secure. Your change becomes a mirror. It reminds them of their own unfulfilled potential, and this is uncomfortable. When you begin to live consciously, you may speak less, but your silence speaks loudly. You may smile less, but your smile becomes authentic. You may stop explaining yourself, because truth does not need justification. At this stage, many people feel tempted to go back. They try to adjust again, just to be accepted. But remember, acceptance by the crowd comes at a great cost. You lose yourself. If people misunderstand you, do not rush to correct them. Let them misunderstand. The truth is not democratic. It does not depend on majority opinion. In fact, all those who have known something real have been misunderstood. Socrates was misunderstood. Jesus was misunderstood. Buddha was misunderstood. Not because they were wrong, but because they were ahead of their time. Misunderstanding creates loneliness at first, but soon it brings clarity. You begin to see who is with you out of habit and who is with you out of love. You begin to recognize relationships that are based on convenience rather than connection. This stage is a purification. Many people will drop away naturally. Do not cling. What falls was never yours to begin with. I am not saying you should fight with the world. No, simply be authentic. Let your life be your statement. Those who are meant to understand you will find you, sooner or later. When people misunderstand you and it no longer hurts deeply, when you can remain relaxed even in their confusion, Know that something within you has become solid. You are no longer dependent on approval. This is a great freedom. The best stage of your life cannot happen without this phase. You must pass through misunderstanding to reach clarity. You must lose borrowed identities to discover your own face. So if people say you have changed, smile, they are right. You are finally becoming yourself. The fourth sign is that old desires start falling away. Beloved ones, the fourth sign that you are entering the best stage of your life is very silent, very subtle. Old desires start falling away. Things that once dominated your mind no longer have the same power over you. Ambitions that once kept you restless begin to feel irrelevant. This creates confusion at first, because society has taught you to desire. From childhood you are told what to want, what to achieve, what to become. When desire disappears, the mind feels lost. It asks, if I do not want anything, then who am I? I have seen this happen within myself. I was never interested in becoming somebody special, and people found it strange. They could not understand how a man could live without ambition. But I tell you, ambition is the disease of the unconscious mind. It keeps you running, but it never allows you to arrive. When desire starts dropping, it does not mean life becomes empty. It means life becomes spacious. Desire narrows your vision. Awareness opens it. You may notice that comparison disappears. You are no longer measuring yourself against others. Their success does not excite you, and their failure does not comfort you. This is a great freedom. Comparison is one of the deepest forms of violence against oneself. At this stage, people often feel a strange emptiness. They say, I don't want what I used to want, but I don't know what I want now. This is a holy emptiness. Do not be afraid of it. Emptiness is not lack. It is openness. In this emptiness, something new can arise. But it cannot arise if you keep filling yourself with old desires. Just as a cup must be empty to receive fresh water, your consciousness must be empty to receive truth. Old motivations fall away. You no longer act to impress, to dominate, to be admired. Your actions become simple, natural, playful. You do things because you enjoy them, not because they will give you an identity. This is why many people misunderstand this stage. They think you have become lazy. They think you have lost drive. They are wrong. You have lost greed. There is a vast difference. When desire drops, compassion arises. When ambition drops, creativity flows. When comparison drops, peace descends. I am not saying you should renounce the world. No. Let desire drop naturally through understanding, see its futility, and it will disappear on its own. The best stage of your life begins when you are no longer driven by hunger for more. You start living in the now, enjoying the small, the ordinary, the simple. When old desires fall away, you are no longer chasing life. Life starts coming to you, and in that meeting something tremendously beautiful is born. The fifth sign is that you trust life more than fear. Beloved ones, the fifth sign that you are approaching the best stage of your life is very delicate, yet very revolutionary. You begin to trust life more than fear. Fear does not disappear completely, but it no longer rules you. Fear has been your master for a long time. Fear of failure, fear of being alone, fear of being misunderstood, fear of losing security. Society survives on fear, because a fearful man is easy to control. I have never lived according to fear, not because I was fearless, but because I saw clearly that fear always lies. It promises safety, but it never gives freedom. It keeps you small, careful, calculated, and half alive. When trust arises, you start listening to life itself. You stop forcing outcomes. You stop demanding guarantees. You allow things to unfold. This does not mean carelessness. It means intelligence without anxiety. In my own life, I never planned the future. People found this irresponsible, but I discovered that life has a deeper wisdom than the mind. When you stop interfering, existence supports you in mysterious ways. At this stage, you may still feel fear knocking at the door. But now you do not open the door. You watch, you breathe, you remain centered. and slowly fear loses its authority. Trust is not belief. Belief is borrowed. Trust is experiential. It comes from seeing again and again that life has carried you this far without your constant control. When you trust life, risk becomes natural. You are no longer clinging to the known. You dare to step into the unknown. And remember, all growth happens in the unknown. People who live in fear remain safe, but they never live deeply. People who trust life may fall, but they rise richer, wiser, more alive. You start noticing that you no longer ask life to meet your expectations. Instead, you meet life with openness. Whatever comes, you receive it as a lesson, not a punishment. This trust creates relaxation. Your body becomes softer. Your mind becomes quieter. You stop fighting with reality. Fear always imagines the future. Trust lives in the present, and only in the present can life be lived. The best stage of your life cannot happen if you are constantly protecting yourself. Protection is another name for imprisonment. Trust is another name for freedom. When trust replaces fear, love deepens, creativity flowers, and silence becomes your companion. You start walking with life, not against it. So if you find yourself choosing authenticity over security, truth over comfort, awareness over approval, rejoice. You are no longer living from fear. You are living from trust. The sixth sign is that you feel grateful for no clear reason. Beloved ones, the final sign that you have entered the best stage of your life is the most beautiful and the most mysterious. You begin to feel grateful for no clear reason at all. Nothing special may have happened. There may be no achievement, no success, no great event. And yet gratitude arises like a fragrance from within. This gratitude is not addressed to anyone in particular. It is not gratitude for money, for relationships, for recognition. It is gratitude for existence itself. I have known this state deeply. There were mornings when I would wake up with tears in my eyes, not of sadness but of thankfulness. Just to breathe, just to be, just to see the sky was enough. When gratitude has no object, it means it is no longer psychological, it has become spiritual. Ordinary gratitude is a transaction. You say thank you because something has been given. This gratitude is a state of being. You feel thankful because you are alive. At this stage, even pain is accepted. Even difficulties are welcomed. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? Instead, you ask, what is this trying to teach me? This shift is tremendous. Life is no longer divided into good and bad. Everything becomes meaningful. Everything becomes part of a greater harmony. When gratitude arises without reason, complaining disappears. A grateful person cannot complain. Complaining is a sign of unconsciousness. Gratitude is a sign of awakening. You will notice that small things start giving you immense joy. A cup of tea, a bird on a tree, silence in the night. Love. Nothing has changed outside, yet everything has changed inside. This is the moment when life stops being a problem and becomes a mystery. And a mystery is not to be solved, it is to be lived. In this stage, you no longer feel like a separate entity fighting against the world. You feel connected, rooted, part of a vast intelligence. You are no longer lonely, even when alone. Gratitude creates humility, not humiliation. You feel small, yet vast, empty, yet full. You realize you are not the doer. Life is happening through you. This is why I say the best stage of your life does not come with fireworks. It comes with silence, with softness, with a deep sense of okayness. When gratitude becomes natural, desire disappears completely. Fear dissolves, trust becomes effortless. You are no longer waiting for life to begin. You realize it has always been here. If you feel grateful without knowing why, bow down to that feeling. It is rare. It is precious. It means you have arrived, not at a destination, but at yourself. And remember, beloved ones, this stage is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of real living. From here, life is no longer a struggle. It is a song.